If you have a dream, like, you should go for it.
Yeah.
Life's too short. Do it while you can. If you're not going to be happy, what's the point in doing whatever you're doing?
You don't have to be famous to like have a stage. You don't have to
Totally.
be famous to have a studio. You can go and do it yourself.
Sometimes you have to create your own opportunities in music. Not many people in my immediate family have like a conventional 9-to-5. Growing up, I felt like I had that freedom to pursue what I wanted. For me personally, like, I know I've turned to music when I'm going through heartbreak or going through the more difficult times.
Sometimes
kind of
you
thing.
need to be negative for like 5
I agree.
minutes, 10
Let
minutes.
yourself be sad.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Paige Rutledge in the building. Woo, woo, woo! All right, thanks, Paige, for being here. She is a big country singer, guitarist. She's going to be really famous one day, guys. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Flattering. Thank you for having me.
She's already on her way up. She just came out with her first EP. Yes. She's touring all over Ontario,
Yep.
Nashville. She's doing it, guys.
Doing
She's
the
living her
thing.
dream. So, yeah, it's super inspiring.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about
Yeah.
music. Let's hear it.
Well, so first, I'm from Oakville, so that's really nice. Like, hometown girl. Grew up in Oakville. I've always loved country music. I guess like kind of what got me into music. I always loved to sing. Like, one of my earliest memories is a karaoke machine from my parents at Christmas, and there's a picture that is framed in my dad's office actually of, I don't even know how old I am, like maybe 4 or 5, like so little, singing in front of the karaoke machine. And so like, it's just really cute that they still kept that photo. But my grandpa was the one that babysat my brother and I after school. And so he loved Johnny Cash and Charlie Pride. And he also loved Shania Twain. There was a ton of Shania Twain going on. So we would listen to the little cassettes, like not even, well, he had some CDs, but it was more the cassettes that we would put in and listen to after school and dance in the kitchen and like hang out and do all that. So just something that him and I shared was country music, and he built me a stage at the cottage, and he was just one of those people that was like, he pursued hockey, but he was like, if you have a dream, like, you should go for it. Like, life's too short. Do it while you can.
Right.
Like, if you're not going to be happy, what's the point in, doing whatever you're doing? And so,
what a good grandpa.
I
That's amazing.
You know what?
Wow.
I am very thankful. And I think a lot of this, like a lot of my growing up has to do with the decisions I've made in my career life, I guess. But both my parents work in sports. Like, not many people in my immediate family have like a conventional 9-to-5.
That's amazing.
Which is, it's kind of cool.
It is really cool. And your cousin too
does music as
right?
well. Yeah. And so, when you're surrounded by those types of people, or, you have those types of people in your life growing up, you're not like, I never felt the expectation that it was like, you go to school, you do this. Like, I felt like I had that freedom to pursue what I wanted to do, which I know is not always the case for some people. And so like, I'm very grateful for that aspect of growing up in my life. Yeah. And just like always being encouraged with opportunities.
I mean, he built you a stage.
I know.
He built her a stage.
It was pretty great. I'm not going to lie. It was like probably not that safe, but we made it work. All my cousins were in my like weekly shows. We'd invite the neighbors down.
Oh my God.
So, all of those moments, they shape you. They shape what you want. 100%. They're important.
Yeah. You knew what you wanted.
I knew what I wanted. I wanted to perform. And I was like, we got to put on our weekly shows for all of the neighbors. But so my grandpa passed away in 2007. That sounds like a crazy year to say out loud now. But I ended up singing at his funeral. And honestly, that kind of just changed everything for me. And I realized, I mean, I don't know if I realized in the moment. I was really young, like really, really young at that time. But I think I had this, as I've reflected on it and been like, why did I decide? Because that was the first time I had ever sang in public, was in that moment. And I just knew it was something that he would have wanted. And my dad always says to me when I talk about it, he's like, you just kind of came out of nowhere and you were like, I'm going to sing.
Right.
And he was like, okay.
Like,
and
are
so,
you sure?
Yeah. And my parents never discouraged it, but they were just kind of like, she's not going to actually do it. She's 9. Like, she's not like, she's not going to actually go through with it. And I did. And I think like I've thought about that so often. I'm such a reflect on the moment person. I think songwriting has done that to me, to like force me to reflect a lot on life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Like it forces you to, and I think it's important. And I guess like, and it sounds so cheesy, and like I've always tried to like find a way to say it not so cheesy, but in like the best of times or the worst of times, like you think about the times people turn to music, or like, you know, when you're at a concert and you're like living in that moment, like music connects people. And I know it's like people say it's like a universal language kind of thing. And I guess that for me, that's how I felt that universal connection to people is through music. And I think for me personally, like I know I've turned to music when I'm going through heartbreak or going through, you know, the more difficult times. And I guess that's where that kind of started. So that started the journey. And
well, think about it. You were so young, putting on these shows every week. And like you said, those were like really happy moments, full of joy, full of connection. But then, you know, you're 9 years old and you experience this different side of music maybe, right? Like you singing at a funeral is really hard.
It is.
But it's also really fulfilling, and like looking out and connecting with all these people that knew this person had such an impact on all of your lives. Like that is so special.
Yeah.
And so like powerful when you're so young to learn that and to feel that.
I think too, that moment, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like so bittersweet, because obviously it was such a not great time. But I always have tried to, and I think it's because of that reason, think about when things aren't great, when things aren't going the way that they're supposed to. It's kind of like that everything happens for a reason. And maybe it's like kind of like a not so great step, but maybe that's the step that like kind of projects you to the next part of your life. And so I think that's like really shifted my mindset as well for how I look at things. And obviously the music industry can be incredibly defeating. So like I've always tried to like channel everything I've been through, and like, I mean that part of my life is also a very important part of my life. As sad and as like tragic, you know, as it was losing a grandparent so young, it really shaped, I think, who I am now.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure he's so proud of you.
It's nice. You know, it's one of those, it makes what I get to do, and the fact that the last, you know, couple years, especially this last year, have really been an exciting like glimpse into what could happen, or, you know, like the shows that we've got to play and the places we've got to travel and the people we've got to meet. It's very, it warms my heart, like to know that was kind of how it started, and such a special part, and like a journey that means so much to me. And so I don't know, like I try to like really think about the positive through it, and but that's how I got that's it. That's how I got where I was.
No, that's so beautiful. Honestly,
Thank you.
I love that. You said something really interesting about music connecting people, and that kind of being the main focus, or like the main part that you're passionate about. And you know, like Paige is such a like warm personality. She's so good at connecting with people. Is there something that you try to like consciously do while you're performing? How are you thinking, like, how can I make a mark on these people? How can I connect to my audience? What are you doing to make that connection stronger, deeper?
Yeah, I think I'm just such a fan of other people. I love being a fan of music, and I love going to people's shows, and I don't know, I really try to just live in the moment. And I've never gone into anything with the mindset of like, this is about me. Like when we put on a show, like my main focus is always like, how did the audience react? Because at the end of the day, like they're the ones, if there's no show if they don't come. And so the audience to me is one of the most important parts. And I always want to make sure that I know the way that I feel when I go watch someone that, you know, I enjoy their music, and like, you never want to leave a show feeling like you weren't a part of it. And especially in country music, there's so much connection in the lyrics, and just like country's meant for everybody. It's supposed to be that like find your story in each song kind of thing. And so I always go in and I'm like, this isn't about me. This is about the audience today, or it's about us really at the end of the day, like all the connect, it's all together and it's meant to be shared. And I'm not having a good time if they're not having a good time, and vice versa.
That's such a beautiful outlook.
Thanks.
Wow.
I try to always find the positives, especially because, like I said, I've had some moments over the past couple of years, and you know, this past year too, where it didn't go the way that I wanted. Not necessarily a show. I don't mean that. I just mean like a goal I set for myself, or like, you know, an expectation that I had, or, you know, there's the highs are high in the music industry and the lows are so low that you can't and like, trust me, in the moment, like I let myself be really sad for a second because I think it's important to feel those emotions too.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, how do we like on to the next? Let's make it more positive.
Sometimes
kind of
you need to be negative for like 5
I agree.
minutes, 10
Let
minutes.
yourself be sad.
Yeah.
That's very important to feel the sadness. But then I'm like, how do we be happy? Like, how do we find the good things and like on to the next? So I think that my like general outlook on this career and just like life, I guess, kind of in a way channels into the live shows. And I've actually had that question before. They're like, how do you, I don't even know what the question has been. And I'm like, I'm genuinely having so much fun. Right. Like I'm so lucky. I feel that I get to put on a show for people that people come to. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm like, that gets to be my job and I get to do that for people and like have fun with people. Like I should be living and enjoying every single second of it.
Yeah. That's a really beautiful perspective.
Thank you.
I love that. Yeah. And that's such a good message for everyone though. Like no matter what you're doing, like kind of just always looking for the positive, just being grateful. Like that's so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so many other things. I think a lot of it actually comes down to as well. I was having this conversation the other day with a bandmate, and it wasn't even more of like if you weren't doing music, what would you be doing? It was kind of like something along the lines of that.
Okay.
And I genuinely was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would be doing because like even every aspect of my life in like some way, shape, or form, like as far back as I can remember, has been about music. And I'm like, it's in a love, like I can't describe it. I'm like, I don't picture myself doing anything else. I don't have a backup plan. So it's like, well, we got to make it work.
You went full in. Yeah.
We are 2 feet in. We have been 2 feet in. And I think that's why I love it.
Yeah.
So much because it's never been, oh, maybe. It's always been like, nope, there's no other option.
It's the only option.
Which is kind of terrifying, but here we are.
It's terrifying, but it's so exciting. No, it's really
You have to be a little bit scared too, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, you need that like adrenaline. You need a little bit of anxiety.
Just a little bit.
Tiny bit. Tiny bit is good.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So tell us about your EP, Breakup Rules. First of all, congrats on releasing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, what does it feel like? How have the last couple weeks been?
It has been a whirlwind in like the best way possible. I started releasing music, like I guess my first single I ever put out, I was 16. And I started writing songs. I was a little dramatic 11-year-old in my bedroom, you know, going through all the heartbreak sitting there.
Yeah, the diary.
Literally, I have notebooks full of songs. So I started writing music really young, and I was like, oh, this boy didn't look at me in like grade 6. Like, oh, write a song about him. Oh my gosh, I still have all the notebooks. I'm like, one day I'll keeping them for forever because they're so embarrassing but so good.
I have the same. I have like a stack of books and they are so embarrassing. They are so. Oh my god! I used to like, you know, Baby Lips, like that.
Yes.
Lip balm?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Every girl was obsessed with these Baby Lips, and
so many.
And I don't know why, but every day I would write in my diary or I write a song. It's so hard.
It was so hard being 11.
I would put on my Baby Lips and kiss the page goodnight and sign my name.
I love that. Like, that's a memory to keep for forever.
No, I don't want anyone to see that. But I do keep it because it is funny. But
it is funny, right? I know. I look back and I'm like, I used to write like what I was going through that day, and I'm like, Paige, calm down. You're gonna be okay. But you know, I think all of those experiences have maybe led to this. But so I started releasing music when I was 16, and you know, you learn a lot along the way. And then COVID happened, which was weird because I'm like, where's my timeline? COVID happened, which was weird.
Right.
So I was releasing music prior to that, learning, playing some bar gigs. And then when COVID happened, I was like, well, what now? And so I moved up to the cottage. My cousin Alex and I kind of built like a home studio at our cottage, and we just wrote. We wrote songs, and I was like, it was actually a really big moment, I think, for me, because I sat there and I was like, what do I want to say? What do I have to say? What are my goals?
Right.
And an EP was always my goal. And so the past kind of year and a half, 2 years, that was like the focus.
Okay.
And so I was releasing singles since I guess like 2020. And then the past 2 years, I was like, what am I trying to say for this EP? And I don't even know if I knew what I was getting myself into. Releasing an EP is a lot more work than it seems. You know, releasing a single is one thing. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you know that. It's a ton of work putting out a single.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just one song. And I was like, how difficult can an EP be? And it wasn't necessarily difficult, but it was just all of a sudden, I had this project in front of me. And I don't think it actually hit me that I had, you know, this collection of songs and this body of work that I was going to be putting out until it happened. And then I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a lot. It's a lot. There was so much planning that years, like a year and a half, 2 years of planning that went into it.
Right.
And so when I get ready to release the next one, I'll have a better idea, but you also have to learn and kind of go through those things. But it really hit me when I had friends who have been like a part of the journey for forever, sending me flowers and all of these things. And I don't think I recognized how much work I actually had put into it until I started getting flowers sent and my friend just saying how proud she was. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, maybe I need to take a step back as well and realize how much work we put into this for the past 2 years. And I should be really proud of myself.
Yeah.
So once I kind of started living in that moment a little bit more and not so like content scheduling and we have a show and tickets and this and that and just like, what am I going to post on TikTok and like all of these other things that go along with a release.
It never stops.
It never stops. It never stops. I would lay awake at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I would wake up and be like, oh my gosh, we have to do this for photos. And I'd be sending text messages at 4 a.m. I'm like, please don't think I'm crazy. There's just a lot to do. So as soon as I like took a step back and it hit me the second before I went on stage at the release show and I like peeked out and saw how many friends had shown up and just how many people in the industry had shown up. And there were some strangers there too, which is a really, really cool feeling when strangers show up to your show and you're like, oh, I see you share my stuff on Instagram, but we've never met. And I'm like, that's a really cool, feeling to know that people have come to support the work that I've done. And I was like, oh my God, maybe I need to like be a little bit more kind to myself and a little bit more proud of myself in that moment. So it was like no secret. It was a lot and I don't regret a single part of it. I'm so happy it's out into the world and there's still so much work to be done, but I'm also really glad that it's just like out.
Yeah. You
and
did that.
I did that. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done with it.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank
you.
You
accomplished it. You know, it was something you wanted to do for so long.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you ever feel like this, but it can feel kind of lonely in the industry sometimes. And so just like seeing people being there and actually showing up is a really good feeling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's really amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just noticing like things about your story and you growing up with the stage and then you making your own studio. And I'm just like, that's so cool because, you know, it just shows like, okay, you don't have to be famous to like have a stage. You don't have to be famous to have a studio. You can go and do it yourself. It can be cold and you can be not performing anywhere, not writing as much. And you and your cousin were just like, oh, we're just going to build our own studio. Like, I love that.
Yeah. And I think
that's
too,
really cool.
Sometimes you have to create your own opportunities in music because opportunities don't always come and you take the opportunities when they come, but you also have to be willing to make your own work if you want to do this.
Yeah.
So that's always stuck with me. And I think that's kind of maybe subconsciously the mindset that I had.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
That's definitely, that was a big lesson for me too. Just trying to navigate the music industry and trying to release music as a songwriter. It's hard.
It's so hard.
It's really hard. And
it's hard.
And it is. And you're so right. Like no one is going to like draw out a map for you and be like step 1, step 2, no. It's like so many people do it in so many different ways. There's not a straight path. You can go about it from so many different angles. And that's what makes it really hard, but also really exciting.
Exactly. I'm like, you're taking the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. So for anyone out there that's maybe trying to make it in a field that they don't know how to break into.
Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It is possible, but you do, like you said, you do have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And create your own opportunities.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It is. And I think you said it perfectly. There's like, I'm like, yeah, there's no like,
period.
You do this and then it's like, okay, so this happens and then the next thing happens. It's like, it does not work like that.
No. And then you also, you see the artists that maybe like they do put in all the work and they come out with their first song or first album. And then they think that maybe it's just going to take off from there, but it's not really like that. You still have to keep like showing initiative and putting in the work and finding new ways. Like it's not just gonna fall into your lap like necessarily.
No. And I think sometimes when those experiences happen or something like good happens, it feels like it just happens so fast and like in the moment, and you're like, how did we get here? And I'm like, am I deserving? Am I this? Am I all of these things? Like the imposter syndrome kind of kicks in a little bit. And then we were talking about it the one day, and I think I had said something along the lines of exactly that, where I was like, I just don't know like if I've like worked hard enough for this. And they're like, Paige, like as much as it feels like it's happening overnight right now, or like this feels like it happens so quick, like it's years and years of work that you've put into this. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, like, yeah, okay. And then you like kind of reflect back, and you're right, because there's no like this happens and this happens and this happens, and there's no direct. It would be beautiful if there was a direct. Someone could tell you you're on the right path. No, there's not.
There's not. You just gotta, ride the wave.
Ride the wave and go with it.
Keep trying to stay positive.
Yeah. That's been, I guess, like my trick is just always being positive about it, even when it sucks.
Yeah.
Because there's moments, and not even just in music, but just like in life in general, any career path, like there's moments where it sucks and it's like, what am I doing this for? And then
anyone, for sure.
Totally. And you just kind of find the way to like navigate around the like really terrible part of it sometimes.
Yeah.
And create a better opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all life.
It's all life. This is a life lesson now.
Okay, cool. Tell us a little bit about Nashville.
My favorite place.
Favorite place in the world. What's the community like there for artists?
Oh, I mean, you've been. It's beautiful. Like the people. I remember the very first time I ever went to Nashville was September 2021. And it has been my dream ever since I was a kid to go to Nashville. It was the best experience of my life, also the most eye-opening experience of my life, because it's so saturated with music, which is like on one hand amazing because you're constantly around creatives and you're around people doing the same thing as you, and you know it's great and you're inspired and you're hearing people's stories of how they got there, because not many people, I shouldn't say not many people, but a lot of people have picked up their lives and moved to Nashville to pursue music. Yeah. So a lot of the stories are really inspiring. And then on the other hand, it's also like, oh my God, everyone's so good. I have to be so much, not better than a person. I don't mean like you have to be like, oh my gosh, this person, I have to be better. It's like, oh, if I want to do this, like I actually gotta
put in the work.
And I learned really quickly to surround myself with people that are always better than me, because there's always something to be learned. So I always try to put myself, or hope to be in a room with someone that I'm like, they are such a fantastic songwriter. Because then I walk away leaving being like, oh my gosh, I learned this, and like new things that I can apply to my writing. And then hopefully, it's like that cycle of you're just always with people that are pushing you to be better.
Yeah. That reminds me of a quote, and it's Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg says that he is the dumbest person on his team. And
I love that.
Right?
I really love that.
And I think that's so cool. Like that's so, he's like top dog, but
he's incredible.
But he's so humble, and he's like, no, like I know what my strengths are.
Totally.
I know what my weaknesses are.
Yeah.
And so every single person on my team is smarter and better than me at something.
That's so important.
Yeah.
And I think, staying humble is a very important part of the industry.
There's lots of egos.
There's a lot of egos. There's a ton of egos, and you cross those people, and they're easy. Those kinds of people are easy to point out in a room. But country is so welcoming, and I remember the first time I got off the plane, I just remember feeling so welcomed. Everyone is genuinely so kind, so inviting, and just being like, it's a community. Like if I help you, you help me, but in an actual supportive way. Cause we really genuine. Are, we're all in it together kind of thing. it's exciting. It makes it more enjoyable to go every single time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Guys, gotta go to Nashville.
Go to Nashville.
Go to Nashville. Very cool. What's it like being a country artist in Ontario?
It's interesting. I didn't know the first thing about like country music in Canada, aside from like listening to a bunch of great Canadian country artists. I mean, there's so many, but like Shania Twain is one of the biggest country stars ever, and being from Canada,
right?
And Ontario specifically, it's like, okay, it is possible. It is one of those things. But I played a showcase in 2019. So it was my first time like ever doing like a country event here. And the first time I had met some of the members of like the Ontario country music community. And it's a family. It is honestly not even just Ontario. Canadian country music is so small that everybody knows everybody, but it really is a family. And like the award shows and all the events are the most exhausting time of year, but my favorite part of year because everyone is so supportive of each other. And I'm so grateful that I've like found friends in that community. I mean, I always like to look at it too, where I feel like we have something really special here in Canada to be able to have, you know, kind of our own country music scene that maybe some people don't even know about outside of Canada, but like it's really beautiful and the support and everyone's so nice. Like actually so nice. The Ontario community is pretty tight. Like everyone, it knows everybody, but even just like on a broader spectrum, like across Canada, it's a very tight family.
Oh, you've been on the radio.
Yes.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's so cool.
It is.
What radio was it? It was Sirius?
Sirius XM, top of the country. So it's channel 171. And that was the very first song that had been picked up. And that was the first time I'd heard my song on the radio.
How cool was that?
It still, every single time, it's so exciting. But the first time I was in my parents' driveway and I was about to leave for a gig and I was exhausted. And I remember like sitting there doing like my mental checklist because I was so tired that I was like, I'm feeling like I'm forgetting so many different things right now. And I put the car in reverse. And as I put the car in reverse, I heard the intro and I was like, I think I know this song. I literally had that moment. I was like, why do I know this? And then I put it in park and realized that it was my song. And I was just like, whoa. So I like ran inside the house and my mom came out and everyone was like in there being like, oh my gosh. So it was very special because I got to be like at my parents' house listening to it and like getting to share that accomplishment with them was really special. But I feel like I had so much beginner's luck with the worst things. I heard it so often, but I haven't heard Breakup Rules yet.
No?
And I'm like, I can see it. Like I can see when it's being played. Like they don't tell you ahead of time, but like you can see like the radio history. Like I check and I'm like, did it play today?
Yeah.
And it did. And I'm like, how do I keep missing it?
Oh man.
So I feel like I was too lucky with hearing the worst thing like too many times.
That was like a fluke.
Yeah, it was a fluke. And I was like, because everyone said, they're like, oh yeah, like it will play, but you're never going to hear it. And I'm like, no. I need to hear it at least like once.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But it's special. It's a very special, feeling.
I mean, I get excited when I hear my song just like on the speaker. Like,
oh, right?
I'm like, wow.
You have to be proud of what you've done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have to, like, I don't listen to myself necessarily because I'm very critical and hard on myself.
Yeah. And also like songwriting and you listen to it so much, you're like, I literally hate this song.
No, literally.
I can't listen to it. I'm literally put it out.
We get to the point where it's like out in the world and I'm like,
yeah, enjoy.
I need a break from it. I've heard it so many times.
Yeah, enjoy guys. I'm taking a pause. Okay. Do you ever struggle with writer's block or
Yes, very much. And I think it came from a place of not so much anymore, but now because I've learned how to balance my time a little bit better. And I used to feel the pressure. And I think a lot of it had to do with during COVID, I would get up and write every single day, if not 2 times a day, because there was nothing else to do. And I was just like, that was kind of when I really got into songwriting or co-writing, I should say. I loved to write by myself, but co-writing's a different ball game a little bit too, because I think there's something so exciting about taking my, like, not necessarily my ideas, but just like an idea in general and pitching it to other writers in the room. And then you just watch it grow into something where I'm like, didn't think it was going to go there, but I'm so happy it did. So I was writing it with a ton of people over the COVID. And then when life started again and started to get busy, I was like, I can't write every day. Like I can't perform, can't write, can't do all these things. Like I'm so creatively drained. And that's when I was feeling like I was getting writer's block. Because I feel like I was trying to do everything that was happening during at like 10 times the speed.
Right. Okay.
And so once I learned that like it's okay to not write a song every single day, and like there's also something to be said, like you have to go out and live a little bit, or else like what are you going to write about? Like you have to go meet people, you have to kind of like
you need stories.
You need stories.
Yeah.
I'm always famous for like being like, no, I met a boy, but like it's okay because it's just like we're gonna write a song about it, like because my friends are like, ugh, and I'm like, ugh, I know. I'm like, but it's content, even though I'm really sad, but it's content.
I know so many artists.
I need to like stop saying that out loud too. I've decided.
They're like, I'm gonna put myself through this really shitty situation, but great art is gonna come out of it.
And I'm like, they're like, you're really sad. I'm like, no, you're right. I am really sad right now, but like. Think about the songwriting.
Hey, think about the positives.
They're like, Paige. But I do think you need to live.
You do.
To have experiences or else, you know, because the best songs come from the heart. And like, I know that's like so cheesy, but
no, it's true.
It's true. Like if I don't believe what I'm writing about, the listeners aren't going to believe what I'm writing about. So learning to live a little bit. And then I feel like I've done a lot of that in the past year, and been through like a lot of experiences and meeting people and whatnot.
Right.
Now it's not, and like writer's block is so normal. Like even in the moment, like sometimes you're in a writing session and the idea just like isn't happening, and that's okay. But learning to balance has been very important for me.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah. So live a little, guys.
Live a little.
Who was it? It was Adele who like was finally happy and then wrote a whole album and scrapped it because she was like, this sucks.
Like, who wants a happy song? What do you mean? In country music, we're singing about heartbreak. What's going on here?
Come on now. What were you thinking?
Come on.
You can't be happy. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, don't be happy. No one wants to be happy.
No, totally joking. Happy songs are actually harder to write, but
I agree with you on that.
Happy songs are harder to write, but I think if you can pull it off like well and not in a cheesy way, like in a genuinely like joyful, like this song like just makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Like that's something that I really want to do.
Me too. I've said that. Like I love heartbreak songs, and
of course,
I just think, but you're right. I think it's harder sometimes to open up about happier feelings in a room of writers, because you're like, maybe it's like too good and like I don't want to like
brag,
put it out into the universe, and like then it goes to shit after. I don't
there's
know.
something about
There's something about it's scary to open up to people when you're happy, I think.
Yeah.
In a writing room session, for me at least. I don't know. With heartbreak, I'm like, yeah, it's not that at all. This happened, and then this and that, and I'm sad, and like I don't know. Maybe it's just like a little bit easier because it's like a little bit of like a coping method to get through it. Kind of thing.
Venting.
Yeah, venting. Like
like a lot of artists, they start with more sad songs, like heartbreak songs.
I'm a heartbreak girly.
And then you can kind of start to experiment with those other feelings, but it's more vulnerable in a way.
Totally.
Which is
I know,
like
it's
weird.
like opposite. It feels opposite saying it out loud, but no, you're right. You're 100% right.
It is. Like you would think it's the opposite, but no, it's
not.
Nope. It's not. Anyways, but yeah, that's good advice for writer's block for sure. Live a little. 100%.
Live a little.
Live a little.
Put yourself out there. Very important.
Yeah.
Even when it sucks.
Even when it sucks.
Even when it sucks.
Yeah, especially when it sucks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap it up a little, but first we're going to do some lightning round questions again.
My favorite.
Yes. So, all right. Boom. Who's your favorite artist?
Taylor Swift. I stand by this.
Yes.
That is my answer to everything. I love Taylor that Swift. Woman. Like I said, that heartbreak at 11 years old, that I was like, well, Taylor's going through it, so I have to be going through it. I also have her lyrics on my arm.
Do you? Oh wait, I know I do this. Which ones again?
To live for the hope of it all.
Yeah, that's really cute.
Thanks.
I love that. Okay, what is your favorite song to perform?
Off the EP or in general?
In general.
Broken Record, because we always end with Broken Record, and I mean that song's old. Like I put that out in 2021, but we always do the little like at the going into the last chorus, there's like the breakdown part of the Baby We're a Broken Record, and we always try to get the audience to sing along, and it's just such, I think it's catchy. I see people sing it the whole time through, and I'm like, we're gonna sing it together, and it's this beautiful moment because especially in some situations, you know, when you have like that afternoon slot at a festival where
Right.
you don't have as many people there as that are going to be there for the evening. I'm like, how can we make this memorable? And like having that little sing along moment, I feel like is such a connecting part, or like a very big part of our show, and connects me to the audience and vice versa.
100%.
And it's just this like, it's so fun.
That's
we
really
always
cute.
have
I
so
love
much
that.
fun. And every time we play it, the song somehow feels bigger and we're just like leaving the stage sweating and we're like, yeah, broken record.
Yeah,
that's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one.
You gotta end with a banger,
Exactly.
you know, every time. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love that. Well, awesome. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here. Where can you tell people, like, where can you find, where can you listen to your stuff?
Yeah.
Where can they see you play live?
Everywhere online.
Everywhere.
Everything is at Paige Rutledge. I think my TikTok is actually Paige Rutledge Music because someone took Paige Rutledge first, but like, wild. Anyways, you'll still find it wherever you listen to music. It's there. And then I actually still have, as much as it feels like we're going into the quiet season of the year, the rest of the year, like I have dates booked until December 28th. And so it just feels so cheesy, but like www.paigerutledge.com. All the
go.
dates are there.
PaigeRutledge.com. You heard it.
You
here.
heard it
Go
there.
see her live. You won't regret it. She's such a good performer,
It's so
guys.
fun. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much. And thank you, Oakvillainz, for listening. Follow Paige Rutledge. And see you next time. Peace out.